two new ministers will be inducted in the Kejriwal's government of Delhi. The names of the two ministers to be announced soon. The appointment could take some time. To get more information on this, we have my colleague Priyanshi joining us to get us more on this two new ministers to be inducted in the Aam Aadmi Party. Do remember there were 7 ministers in all. 2 resigned as of yesterday. 2 jail ministers, that's Satyendar Jain as well as Manish Sisodia. Those 2 ministers that resigned yesterday, that letter has been sent to the LG, who in turn is sending it to the president. And once that is approved is when the 2 new ministers are to be inducted. Those names will be announced. The resignation of Manish Sisodia and Satyendar Jain will be approved by the president. It's only after that that the new ministers will be appointed. Let's go across to Priyanshi. Priyanshi, firstly, we are now being told, a situation where 2 ministers resigned as of yesterday and the Aam Aadmi Party was down to 5 out of 7. And the onus and the focus being on Arvind Kejriwal, perhaps then taking on some of the portfolios. And that was there were speculations regarding that. But now all speculations being put to rest that 2 new ministers will be added to the cabinet.
That's right, Divya. That was a major question, whether there are going to be new ministers in the Arvind Kejriwal cabinet or whether the responsibilities of Mr. Manish Sisodia, the Delhi Deputy Chief Minister, whether those portfolios are going to be redistributed among existing ministers. But we are now being told by sources, sources have told my colleague Sharat Sharma that there might be 2 new ministers in the Delhi cabinet, and that remains to be seen which of whether some of the MLAs will be escalated to the positions of ministers. So as you must remember that there are MLAs such as Saurabh Bharadwaj, who's also the chief spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. There's also Atishi. These are the MLAs that we often see in the Aam Aadmi Party being active in the political sphere and in the protests also that we saw in the last few days. So we'll have to see whether it will be them or any other MLAs who might be elevated to the position of ministers. Now, what are the portfolios that we're talking about that are to be distributed among these likely 2 ministers in the Delhi cabinet? As we've talked about that Delhi government cabinet had 6 ministers, and after Satyendar Jain and Manish Sisodia have resigned, now the cabinet is left with 4 ministers. So when 2 new ministers will be inducted, which is likely as per sources, then that would take the strength back to 6 ministers, because of course 2 ministers have resigned, so that they are likely to be replaced by 2 new ministers. So the strength of 6 ministers will be retained. That's what we are getting the sense for now. Now, if we talk about the portfolios that the new ministers might get, these are the portfolios that the Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia held, because of course Satyendar Jain has also resigned, but Satyendar Jain didn't have any portfolios. He was a minister without any portfolio after he was jailed last year in the month of July. So he's been in jail for 8 months now, and he didn't have any portfolio, but he was still a minister. But Manish Sisodia was the second most minister in the Delhi government after Arvind Kejriwal, the chief minister, and after he has resigned, there are 18 portfolios that are now vacant because he held 18 out of the 33 portfolios in the Delhi cabinet. So that is why the Aam Aadmi Party government, as they've said, that they have gone ahead with this move for the 2 ministers to resign so that these crucial 18 portfolios can be redistributed so that the work in these portfolios can continue and it doesn't get stopped as Mr. Manish Sisodia has been arrested and he's in jail. Now, if we talk about the portfolios that Manish Sisodia held, out of the 18, it included crucial portfolios such as education, finance, planning, land and building, vigilance, services, tourism, art, culture and language, labor, employment, public works department, health, industries, power, home, urban development, irrigation and food control, irrigation and flood control, as well as the water department. These are the departments that were under Manish Sisodia, and also any other departments that were not specifically allotted to any minister. Those also came under the Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia. So these are the departments. Divya, as you must remember that the Delhi government's budget is also going to come up in the month of March, and we've seen that for the last few years, of course, Manish Sisodia was the finance minister and he's presented that budget. So it was crucial for the Delhi government to come up with an alternative plan because some minister has to present the budget while Manish Sisodia is in jail. So that's why these portfolios will be reallocated now as this arrangement.
Right, Priyanshi, 2 very key portfolios that were being under Manish Sisodia. First, Satyendar Jain was handling health, and then after his arrest, that portfolio also was being handled by Manish Sisodia. But there were two names yesterday that were coming up, Kailash Gehlot and Rajkumar Anand. So, of course, those are existing ministers within the Aam Aadmi Party, and between the two of them, those 18 portfolios were to be divided, is what was being, were making rounds yesterday. But now, two new ministers are going to be inducted in the Aam Aadmi Party. We were expecting that to happen perhaps after the budget, but now that could happen even earlier.
That's right, Divya. Yesterday, what the sense that we were getting from Aam Aadmi Party sources, as my colleague Sharad Sharma had reported, that the existing two ministers, Mr. Kailash Gehlot and Mr. Rajkumar Anand, the portfolios of Mr. Manish Sisodia could be distributed among these existing ministers, and there could be no new ministers who could be inducted in the cabinet. But as we've seen, that Satyendar Jain has resigned, of course, and he's been in jail for the last 8 months. Now, the deputy chief minister has resigned. So the strength of the cabinet was 6 ministers. And after these 2 resignations, it came down to just 4, while the Delhi cabinet can have a maximum of 7 ministers. So it would have been really difficult for the Aam Aadmi Party to redistribute the portfolios among just those 4 ministers. Because remember, there are 18 portfolios under Manish Sisodia, there are 3 under Gopal Rai, there are 4 portfolios under Rajkumar Anand, there are 6 portfolios under Kailash Gehlot, and there's another minister, Imran Hussain, and there are 2 portfolios under him. So it would have been really hard to redistribute these portfolios among existing ministers, because these existing ministers are also holding a string of ministries, and they are responsible for a string of portfolios and departments. So that is why that would have added responsibility to these existing ministers. If we talk about Kailash Gehlot, a name that was being pitched yesterday according to sources, he already holds the Department of Law, Justice and Legislative Affairs. He holds transport, he holds administrative reforms, information technology, revenue, women and child development. So he already holds 6 portfolios, while Rajkumar Anand holds Gurudwara elections, SCNST, social welfare, cooperative. So these ministers already held these portfolios. So what we are understanding now, that it might have been difficult for these ministers who are already holding a string of portfolios to then hold important portfolios such as finance, health, education, which require time and dedication, and of course Manish Sisodia was handling all of these crucial portfolios together. So that's why the Aam Aadmi Party might be going in for 2 more ministers, because the strength would have really come down to 4 ministers. So to retain that strength of 6 ministers in the cabinet, this move might have been taken by the Aam Aadmi Party government.
Right, Priyanshi, thank you so much for getting us those details. Those 18 portfolios are held by Manish Sisodia will now be distributed amongst 2 new ministers that will be inducted into the Aam Aadmi Party. But those names will be announced in some time.